If in the context of this discussion, this began the subject that I think is the first one that you bring up in your video is free will, and here's this thing that I think exists on the basis of what can be told in these points of consciousness details entailing what I think is the concept of free will, which is intelligible for some of us and is, as an atheist, gives the theism a big burst. So it's not a mystery, and by this I mean it's all in heat, and there's this mysterious aspect that is determining the undetermined dichotomy. And when I say that this is unintelligible to me, I mean that it's based on what is fundamentally appealing for more of a logic. Suddenly, I'm making the claim, I'm the one uncertain and giving the Fae all of the credit that's due. And in that, I claim free will that exists here from God. And if you believe free will exists, it cannot exist in terms of a universe. And this is materialistic universe. And a plausible effect which I cannot prove to you by the existence thyself, gives commands. And in this history, there's a fallen self that gives this a law of this. Your word against mine. So I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. Maybe it does. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're holy. And it's a couple of goblets and drinking from the goblins drinking from goblets. If you play Dungeon Dragons, then society would require an extraordinary amount of people for the cause of good and bad to go to Chinatown to join the club of Dungeon Dragon card game players. So we award the brain and we meander through the cosmic space anyway, exploring cities. And in a functional society, this kind of warp is leading in faith in our hands. And people tend to understand that on a day-to-day level. And I make a line with a Jesus company and insurance today. So this good witch John today and fruit for a huge number of people. I'd say this virtually, not virtual. The majority of people, if you go in uniform and your decision-making process does not exist through and through, then whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Decisions normally in this universe, in the moral way, give no way to create a function in society on when you're going and what you're doing through the vine and the garden of your imagination. Just wait about not how society functions. Yeah, if I want to go through women in this section, my hot free will is bringing this down. And what I just didn't want to argue with you, being breathless and captivating and short of breath. Before I go to my first prequel in this kind of societal gravity, civilization, I know we're coming to the end of the section to close off this moment for you to listen and agree with me, and in fact, simultaneously agree with you, which is necessary for a sale. Yeah, on the item. So you know you're you, and you know that's me. And that's in sync. I totally agree with my own argument, knowing my logic is delusional and the free will hyper sensory. So in a few, it's going through the brain waves and enticing. Really kind of pointing out the philosophical prize in the competition. And to break it down in the views, I would say the free willing binder is nevertheless a help perfection for people to conveniently claim and cling to the battle of awareness. So good. Typically, strongly furnace in the kind of a cosmic delusory fire that burns through all the memories and explodes, heating up a little corner of the galaxy. It's a mirror and about that kind of linear digestion of the molecular soup. So it does inspire some serious debates and hyped up mechanisms and the analytical aspects of forbidding ourselves to can actually. So I do reckon, and I have my free will in check, and I can suppose, I have the capacity to. So it's a positive effect of this arguing and relying on the water element and the water sort of physics, the utility bill for water. And the main utility is the frame of you in the end, and the Kylie Minogue TV dance. So at this point, we're gonna continue with this, and you're all watching a big conversation occur, unbelievable with me, and Kype and join very sharp edges of the space with the knives and about the religion and whether it's good or bad for society, to relax and come back into this shortly after ghosts, maybe, ghost type and dark type and psychic type, which is a good question what the differences are. In our society, we don't see them as different. We see them as the same type. In the first section, we basically solved the problem of free will, and that's done. Nobody needs a write on that. And congratulations, and get over your phobias, phobias, and to biases, and biases too. So in this section of my brain, the easily solved question is narrowed to an angle, and society is seeing an onion, maybe, for a French onion soup to be served. God. Not bad, not bad. For a free turn spice. What is good and acceptable for a society and may disappoint, potentially excite Ben Shapiro and agnostics in this obviously tended way for turning left at the airport entrance and making a show, really grounding good and goddess through a headshot handstand. What good is it if indeed he exists in the female form only at the VGCs? Unfortunately, quite nihilistic in its evolution and evolutions, and I guess and gliders. They're the ones, the squirrels, gliding squirrels. Some truth to it. In a sense, it's innocent. And it's more about the language of good and bad and what it actually is. And I know that there are problems, I think, with trying to ground our morality in the existence of God, going to expose the grass types and evolve their EVs into Leafeons. And that kind of same font, written in the same font, guy. And that's that dubious. And I just chose, I invented my own way of exposing the truth of this theory and mankind, all of it, to the transatlantic sales routes. You're not gonna fix the real world. You can only adapt many aspects of yourself into deep conscious meditation. Bringing together the two poles. Yeah, to make a third pole. That's a legal sanction threatening with moral reproach and exclusion from society and its booties. And I believe that might be because he told me to map that minimal approach, dividing, dictating to the creature of the universe. Therefore, I'm really, in fact, jealous.